I've suddenly been on a big RWBY kick, and after a lot of thought and reading, I couldn't help but feel like there was some sort of puzzle to the late Monty Oom's most enduring work. And even though it's not a mystery series primarily, there was a feeling like there was something to be solved. Meetings, relics, Osvid, Beacon, Silver Eyes, Summer Rose. Many little threads that were threatening to come together, but among all these questions, there was one question that was unraveling for me the most. Is it meaningful at all that John is close to the only character that is based off of a historical figure? According to the RWBY fan wiki, I don't see any other examples in John and people directly related to him. The other two are Saf, his sister, and Cardin. RWBY has a thing with fairy tales and legends. But the thing I'm getting at is that the fairy tales within the RWBY universe turn out to be true.
What is your favorite fairy tale?
What's your favorite fairy tale?
Along with constant references to fairy tales and Happily Ever After in the OST by Jeff Williams. It's arguably the major idea within RWBY, with all, not most, of the characters based off of their respective fairy tales. The Grimm, the Maiden Story, the Girl in the Tower, etc. I was seeing a lot of threads here, but I wasn't sure how to tie them together. This scene is brought up a lot as a big discussion point. It's when Pyrrha asks Cinder if she believes in destiny and she says yes. But what I think is being missed is that Pyrrha has actually asked the exact same question to Jean, but his answer is completely different.
Do you believe in destiny?
I don't know. I guess that depends on how you view it.
Destiny is also a big idea in RWBY, but if you squint, doesn't that also fit into the whole fairy tale theme? A story written that already has an ending, predetermined.
When I think of destiny, I don't think of a predetermined fate you can't escape, but rather some sort of final goal.
But the thing is that Pyrrha doesn't escape her fate. She dies exactly like her story says she would. An arrow at the heel and an arrow to the heart. There's some big tragedy to be said that her grand fate was to die in a terrible way at the hands of the plot. The theme of fate is very central to Pyrrha's character, and it comes into the show as she does. The students are discussing the rumors of teams, and there's this conversation between Weiss and Pyrrha.
So, Pyrrha, have you given any thought to whose team you would like to be on? I'm sure everyone must be eager to unite with such a strong, well-known individual such as yourself.
I'm not quite sure. I was planning on letting the chips fall where they may.
But as it turns out, they won't be able to choose their teammates anyways. They will be assigned based on who they meet eyes with in the forest, forming Team RWBY, but namely Jean and Pyrrha being teammates. It makes me think that there's some sort of irony in writing a character who is based off another fictional character discussing the idea of destiny. It's almost as if they're self-aware. Like how Pyrrha is written to be the myth of Achilles and Jean is written to be the real-life Joan of Arc. The other set of characters within RWBY based on real-life people are the gods of light and darkness, the deities in RWBY's own creation tale, as in the Brothers Grimm. Another interesting connection is that Joan of Arc wasn't just any old historical figure. She's specifically a religious figure who claimed to see visions from God, sent on a mission, and was and still is regarded as a prophetess.
Not many people are super religious these days.
And what do you know? Jean is present during this very conversation and is the one to prompt this line. If I'm not wrong, this is the only time the phrase religion is in the entire series. There is something very meta going on that I can't fully put into words, but a notion of something totally fourth-dimensional. There's the idea that the Brothers Grimm are the gods of the RWBY world, as the writers of fairy tales, and the idea of a god who created the universe. Then there's the literary idea of what's called the hero's journey, but a story must follow a basic pattern of someone facing a trial, overcoming it, and returning home. So it stands to reason that the last volume will have them back to where they all started, at Beacon Academy. And the final relic that was actually assigned to Beacon was actually Choice. While I don't say that Pyrrha has this specific relic, I think it's very noteworthy that the character who most represented the idea of fate wears the motif of choice. Her crown/headpiece is also the only part of her that survives, and then actually becomes embedded into Jean's shield. Pyrrha and Jean either parallel or mirror each other at certain times. Conversely, could it be that Pyrrha actually represents fate, and Jean represents choice?
So you forced it on Pyrrha. She chose.
You, Ms. Nikos, have a choice to make.
Let me choose this one thing.
Let's think about biblical texts on the creation of humanity and the ideas within RWBY. The story of biblical creation is that God is a creator, but at this time his desire is to create an animal made in his image. RWBY identifies 4 things that defines humans like unto the gods: creation, destruction, knowledge, and choice. In the Garden of Eden story, we could see these motifs in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but also that God has asked man not to eat from it. It seems that RWBY is saying these are the elements necessary to be like unto the gods. Team RWBY's greatest enemy is Salem, and while she might want to destroy the world, her ultimate end goal is to die. Salem is sick of immortality and wants to die. To die, she has to destroy the world. She can do this by reckoning Judgment Day by gathering the relics into one place. Now, the end of the show RWBY might necessitate the death of Salem, but Salem can only be destroyed with a certain condition met. In these words,
"So long as this world turns, you shall walk its face."
It seems like an impossible conundrum at first, but taking some inspiration from another popular web series, it makes me wonder if Team RWBY will have to consult an even higher power than the gods in order to completely take control of the narrative. And of course it will have to involve John.